All right, thank you very much, folks. Welcome this evening to our regular third Friday of the month education and training session. Thank you very much for coming along. We are focusing this evening on moments of truth and club success plan, and particularly how area directors can help clubs to achieve better moments of truth and put together an effective club success program. Now, as I mentioned, I've put the agenda in the chat, so you should be able to see that there. We have a number of speakers tonight. We have Emma Collins, who is our Public Relations Manager for District 73. Hopefully we'll have David Martin as well, our Program Quality Director. You'll be hearing from me as well. I'll be showing you how to use a form that David has created to help you collect information from clubs about moments of truth. And you'll be hearing from the ever so distinguished Mr. Kevin Broughton, DTM D73 District Director. And then we will be having some facilitator-led breakout rooms, the most exciting thing possible, breakout rooms, where we'll be pitching you a scenario that you'll have to use the club success plan to fill in. All right, so a packed session this evening. Now, first up, we have Emma. Emma Collins is going to be giving us a session about moments of truth and introduction to moments of truth, and also a Q&A. So that's a 20-minute session. I'll time it for you, Emma, and I'll hand you over to Emma right now. Take it away, Emma.
It was a chilly Wednesday evening, and I found myself standing at the top of a local Toastmasters club stairs. My heart was pounding with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. I'd always wanted to be a confident speaker, and I knew that joining Toastmasters was a step that I needed to take to become that person. As I went down the stairs into the basement, I stopped at the door and hesitated, and I peered in the window. Should I go in? I couldn't help but notice that everyone in the room seemed to be deep in conversation, their laughter filling the air, and I felt like an outsider, a stranger in a sea of unfamiliar faces. My palms were clammy, and I hesitated at the entrance, wondering if I should just turn around and leave. Just as I was about to make my escape, a friendly voice called out to me, "Hey there! You must be the new guest. Welcome, come on in." I turned to find a warm and welcoming man approaching me with a bright smile. His name was Stephen, and he introduced himself as the Vice President of Membership. Stephen took me under his wing, immediately introducing me to everyone in the room. Each member I met extended a warm handshake and shared a bit about their Toastmasters journey. It was so clear that this club was a tight-knit community, but they were more than willing to embrace new members like me. After the meeting concluded, several members approached me, eager to chat and offer further assistance with my public speaking goals. It felt like I had found a second family, a group of people who genuinely cared about my growth and success. As the weeks went by, my confidence grew, and I looked forward to each Toastmasters meeting with enthusiasm. With the support and encouragement of the new friends, I embraced this public speaking community like never before. My fear had transformed into a powerful drive to improve. That first intimidating night at Toastmasters had turned into an experience of warmth and acceptance that I would cherish forever. I discovered a community where I could not only conquer my fears, but also gain lifelong friends who shared my journey of self-improvement. Had that friendly face not greeted me when I walked in that room, I wouldn't be sitting here today, telling you that story. This is the importance of the moments of truth, because they can make or break whether a guest will come back to your club again. So with that, sharing that story, I'd like to go through and the moments of truth session with you and go through what the key things are to look out for when you're going into a club looking for moments of truth. So I'll just share my screen. Give me six. Here we go. Share. All right. Can you all see that at all?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. From the beginning. All right, so we talk about moments of truth. Well, let's look at what a moment of truth actually is. So a moment of truth is an episode where a person comes in contact with any aspect of a Toastmasters experience, and they form an impression of what the club is all about and the quality of the service, etc. Now, there's multiple points of touch when you come in contact with a club or with Toastmasters, but I think the main thing is when we actually go and walk into a club and see the people in the club and how they welcome us. So let's go through a few of the moments of truth we need to be on the lookout for. So the first one is first impressions. Then we've got membership orientation, fellowship, variety and community, program planning and meeting organisation, membership strength, and achievement recognition. So let's jump into what each of one of those is. So we look at the scenario where I walked into the Toastmasters Club for the first time. Guest was greeted warmly and introduced to officers and members. Tick. It was such a friendly place to walk into. Guest book and name tag provided. Yes. Stephen got me a name tag and I was asked to sign the guest book and sat next to one of the more experienced members. Tick. A professionally arranged meeting room. Everything looked like it went like clockwork. It was definitely a professional meeting room. It was all set up, ready to go when the first guest arrived. Excellent. Tick again. Convenient meeting location. Yeah, everything was on the website. I found it really easy to find the place. And their meeting room was clearly labelled and clearly signed with the sign out the front saying that the meeting was here. Tick. Guests were invited to address the club. I was asked to stand up and say why I was here, and I got a standing ovation. I was like, oh, cool. I get clapped all the time here. And guests invited to join, which I was invited to join a table topics. And I thought, oh, wow, this is really scary. But they were all very encouraging and they all gave me excellent feedback at the end. So it was really, really fun environment to walk into. So first impressions was fantastic. So what can you look for? These are the things we look for when we go into a club for the first time. And I encourage you to think about yourself, even walking into your own clubs, to see if you actually do this or not, because this is so important. This is one of the most key things. It's the first impression we get. So the next thing we've got is the membership orientation. So we've given the first impression, and now we've got to look at the ongoing support we offer to people that are part of the community. So this is the membership orientation. So is there a formal induction, a presentation of a pin, or they get some kind of booklet to understand what the roles are in the club, etc. So I look at my club, and I will use mine as an example because we do it very, very well. We have a formal induction where we read out the pledge to the community or to the club. We get a manual. I still like the paper manuals. It's great. I use it all the time to refer back to a role if I'm unsure on it. So another big tick, assignment of a mentor. Now, we don't necessarily do this as an official thing, but people are welcome to come up to senior members, and we're always will help out or schedule a phone call with them to make sure that they're on their path and they're staying on track. Education programs and recognition system discussed. So this is all about knowing what pathways is and all the rest of it, and they do that as well. Learning needs assessed, sending out surveys and things like that to find out what the actual member wants to get out of Toastmasters is a fantastic thing to do. Discussed accommodations for members with disabilities, so making sure that you're an inclusive club and that all people from all walks of life are welcome to come into your meeting hall. Speaking roles assigned, so doing this as early as possible, making sure members are going to show up to meetings, and also getting the new members and the people that haven't been there for a long time, they're only new, to actually get on the agenda as soon as possible so they can start getting involved. And this it goes with members being involved in club activities as well. Members in club activities, you know, have the newer people do the contest chair roles and shadow them. One of the senior members shadow them, because the more we can get people involved in the activities of the club, the more likely they are to feel part of the community and want to stay. So that's the membership orientation. We've then got fellowship, variety, and communication. So tick, guests greeted warmly. As you become a member, you then have to think about doing these things for the new guests coming in as well. So making sure you're greeting guests warmly. One of the really cool things you can do is utilizing those members that don't have club officer roles, and you can actually use them to welcome the new members in. So say, hey, I don't know, Sally, can you please welcome the new members in tonight and tell them your experience as the first time as a Toastmaster? So this is a really good tip that you can use to utilize the members that maybe don't necessarily have roles that night, is to be the guest welcomers. So enjoyable educational meetings, ensuring that everybody gets to actually get on the agenda and it's fairly shared around fairly, and making sure, you know, you put workshops on the agenda so that people get actually educated while they're in the club. Regularly scheduled social events, participation in area, district, and international events, inter-club events, club newsletters, regularly updated the website. Now, one thing that we do really well in our clubs, we've got some sister clubs, we call them, and we do on the 5th Wednesday of every month a speech-a-thon where all 3 clubs get together. So we build a fellowship not just among our own club, but also among several other clubs as well. And this is where we're going to start thinking of Toastmasters as a global brand, not just our club. We're not insular. We're not just in our clubs. We're a lot bigger than that. So that's fellowship and variety. Fellowship and variety and communication. Then we go into program planning and meeting organisation. So this is the VPE. Are they sending out the agendas in advance? Are they publicising them? Are members prepared to carry out all the assignments? Is the VPE actually explaining what the assignments are? If I'm Toastmaster and I don't know what to do, are they reaching out to them? Are all the projects from Pathways? Are members sticking to Pathways? This is one of the really cool things we do is once a month we do an induction day, it's called, or after the meeting, we will actually have an induction where all the new members will go along, and Stephen actually will hold a Pathway session, 10 minutes, to show them how to use Pathways, and they can ask any questions they've got. So making sure meetings begin and end on time, so important. We have, you know, busy people, they want to get home, eat dinner, or they might be coming from work or whatever, making sure they begin and end on time so that they get home to their families. Being a lot more creative on the agendas. We don't have to have the same agendas all the time. Creative table topics and activities. One thing we did the other day with table topics is we weren't allowed to speak at all. Because when you think about communication, it's more than just words. So we did a table topics where you had to act out or use every other form of communication besides speaking. So it just gets people to practice skills in other ways. So don't be scared to get creative with your agendas. And positive and helpful evaluations. Always remembering that CRC method, and that you're always thinking about giving evaluations because you want people to come back. You don't want to be too harsh with them. Membership strength. So 20 is a really good number for a club to have, because it accounts for people that maybe don't show up on the night, or they're sick or whatever. Then you've always got them excess members there to be able to fill in the positions that need to be filled. So you're aiming all the time to have 20 members, but you should also be looking, well, what, I've hit 20, maybe that's all I stop at. No, think about all the time. You're always looking to maintain membership. So you have to be thinking ahead, and you have to be knowing that there's usually a turnover of members at some stage. So always trying to get them new members to come through the door. Members retained, obviously you will have some turnover in some clubs, and that's fine. But yeah, always look on that lookout for 20 members. Having promotion in clubs, organisations or communities. So social media, community pages. Pretty much if you're advertising to other Toastmasters, it's not productive. you got to think about when you're doing your advertising and that to actually advertise to people outside of Toastmasters, because we're trying to grow Toastmasters with new members. Club programs are varied and exciting. Toastmasters sponsoring new members, which are recognised, which I think a lot more people need to know about, because I only just found that out 3 months ago and I want my pin. So now I know that I can get a few pins. And regular membership building programs. So in SA, we've done 4 speech crafts in the last 6 months, which has been great to get new members into some of the clubs. So that's a great thing to do. Achievement recognition, huge. As Toastmasters, we love trophies, we love certificates. So making sure we submit our things to the world headquarters, having progress charts if you can to show how people are contributing. Once every few months, maybe do a recognition ceremony of the people that are contributing to pathways. And this also then helps with your DCP and getting those pathways points ticked off. I find that the more that members see it being celebrated, the more they want to be celebrated. So they tend to do the pathways a bit more when we have like certificates given to them. Yeah, and then my final thing, and club, district and international leaders recognised. So when you go in the club, especially as an area director, like, do they recognise you and do they allow you to have a few minutes on the agenda to actually talk about district stuff? This is something to look out for when you're actually going to these meetings, because you guys are the ones that are going to educate the member or the clubs on what the leadership structure is, because a lot of them I know don't know what it is. So just think about asking maybe even for a position on the agenda, just so that you can do a mini educational or something in that place. So overall, when you're going into a club or even your own club, I suggest you try and go in there with open eyes and you think about yourself walking in there as a new member again as well. So what are the first impressions like? Do you feel welcome when you walk in that club? What is the membership orientation like? Do they have fellowship? Is people talking to each other, or are they all sitting there in silence? Is the meeting really well structured? Is there lots on the agenda? Is everyone seem to be participating? What's the membership strength? Is it, 5 people there, or is there 20 people there? Have a look at that. And look at the achievements. You might not necessarily be there on the night, an achievement night, but ask the club members or what happens with their achievements. Now, remember, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So think about how you can make a great first impression, like Stephen did on me the first time I came to the club.
Well done, Emma.
So does anyone have any questions at all? Please, I'm speaking a lot.
I'd like to
have
make
one.
Go on then.
Go for it, Nola.
Thank you very much. One of our members, without consultation with any of us, did a wonderful Hikemaster segment on Monday night where they gave the answer and the person had to form the question from what had happened at the meeting. And it worked really, really well. It's hard to improvise, I think, with a Hikemaster report, but it went over really well, just for people that would like to try it. Good stuff.
So see, that's one of the really key things actually as area director. That's great, Nolo, because when you go to other meetings and visit clubs, you're visiting multiple sites. So this is where we get the cross-pollination. And I think it's part of your job to bring ideas from one club and suggest them to other clubs. And then we get this lovely, like you're the hummingbird going from club to club to club, pollinating the whole area. And you then get more involved. I personally think it enriches the area myself.
Yes, I do like that that scenario of me meeting the whole area. Everybody.
I don't have a question, but I do would like to say something. Everything you did there was exactly how it ought to be done, okay? And I've run these sessions many times, because this audience here are people who know all of that, okay? So this is like a reminder from you. I was at a meeting last night. There were 5, 6 guests, and so was the division director. Now, at a previous meeting, for a contest, I suggested to the VPE that the division director was in the room, so when they were giving the awards out, important to senior rank, let him be involved. That member hates me now because she thought I interfered in her role. Last night in another club, I mentioned it to two people and they both said, what a great idea, we should do that. We didn't know we had to do that. I said, no, you don't have to do it, but it's convention that if there's a division director in the room, you invite them to help give the awards out. That way they get to be known, the title gets to be known, and it explains where the hierarchy is in Toastmasters in sense of what you were talking about. So I think there's no harm in doing it. It's not a rule.
No.
It's a convention. I think it's a good thing. It's like if the Governor General, but the funniest part is I go out now and again and my division director said, I'm an area director. He introduces me to people I've known for 20 years, and I think that's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely.
He said to Peter Fanelli the other night, oh, this is David Hughes, Peter, I'd like to introduce him. And Peter just smiled. Thanks, Simon. And I smiled and said, thanks, Simon. Peter and I have been friends at Toastmasters for 20 years, but it didn't matter, Simon, didn't know that. But at least he's doing it, you know what I mean? So it's good. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
No, that's true. A lot of the time, though, and this is where it becomes we always got to think about this as an education and learning environment and a training environment. And there's lots of times I learnt at the district officer training when I was doing the Toastmaster role that you're supposed to acknowledge all the past district directors. I didn't know that, but I found out afterwards.
I bet you did.
It's these unknown unknowns that a lot of people don't know about. So it's up to us as the more senior leaders to actually, in a nice way, educate people on how it's done or what the traditions are and whether or not they want to adopt them or not, and give them the option to do it in their club. So that was a great point, David. Thank you.
I'll just say, folks, that we've got probably about a minute left.
All right.
Maybe one question from Nola.
All right, Nola, go for it. You've got your hand up.
Thank you. It's not a question, it's just an exchange of ideas. With the acknowledgement of people succeeding in their pathways and things, we also acknowledge service given by our members in our clubs when they go and judge or when they become a timer or they help out another club. Because without them doing that, the whole system falls over. And my one question to you is, were you asked to come early on your first night at Toastmasters? Because I find as BPM, you need to have the visitors come early, especially if you've got 5 new people. You just don't have the time otherwise to create that wonderful scenario that you presented tonight.
So one of the really good things you can do, because personally in our clubs, we do get those sometimes 5 members, sometimes more than that. And that's to utilize those members that don't actually have roles or who aren't club officers, but you can have them there as backups for you to say, hey, tonight we're expecting a few members. Can you please go and talk to them when they come in? And that way, then they feel like they're engaged in the process as well. But then for you're potentially training up new leaders too at the same time. So the more you can get them involved, the better. That's just personally my thoughts on that.
All right, folks, we might wrap it up there. We've
you.
reached time. Thanks very much, Emma. That was a good session. And maybe we do know that stuff before, but I think it's great to hear it again, because like the DCP, like the Club Success Program, Moments of Truth is about what will make your club successful. All right, our next speaker this evening is David Martin, who is our Program Quality Director this year. I'll just point out that we have Christina with us, who is our timer. And I'm going to move Christina up to the top left of the screen. So if you're in gallery view as a speaker, you should as a speaker, you should be able to see, hopefully, the timer. But anyway, it's David Martin who's going to be talking to us now about a form he's put together to help us look at the moments of truth. David, over to you.
Hi, Graeme. Thank you. And hi, everybody that's popped in tonight. Great to see you, and great to see faces of people who have shared that wisdom with me on my way since my first meeting. When I joined, I think, or possibly 2 years into the club process, we had a Moments of Truth, and it was facilitated by a very experienced future district director who came in, and we did the whole thing. And I was on the committee, and I have to say, I was a little shocked that our opinion of ourselves didn't align with the Moments of Truth responses. And there was quite a lot of soul searching. We're great, but our members say we're not great. And we were able to spend a lot of time on the club success program talking about the truth part of it. It is a moment of truth. It could also be called a moment to wake up to yourself. But it was a process that really moved the club up to the point now where when we do Moments of Truth, it does align with the club success program and also aligns with our rewards at the end of the year with the Distinguished Club program. So those three things should have some congruence. And when we went to the convention this year, in the training, we had a lot of members, particularly from North America, who said, we are now doing our Moments of Truth online beforehand. So the area directors being very proactive, sending that to the club as a Google form, getting the results back so that when the area director does the club visit, they can say, this is what the club members think. So I will just go through and share my screen and slideshow. So I hope everybody can see that. Good, yes. Nodding of heads. So this is my presentation about from Moments of Truth to club success. So there are three states of a club. There's how the club wants to be and possibly how the club thinks it is. And that is laid out to some extent with the club success plan. The second state is how the club is, how the club really is. And that's discovered through the Moments of Truth, that point where the club thinks it welcomes guests warmly, but members say, you know, when I came to this club, it was pretty good, but I don't think it was that warmly treated. And the third state is how the club performs. And that's measured by the Distinguished Club program. So we've got three planning tools of success. And the first one, as I mentioned, is the club success plan. And I hope every single person here has seen it. I really hope this isn't a mystery document. On the left-hand side, you can see the form for the club success plan. On the right-hand side is one that I prepared earlier. In fact, it's a club success plan from one of my clubs. And it goes through, and actually you don't need to read the fine print, but it goes through and it talks about what we should be doing. And to some extent, it's like a quality program where the good ones say, write what you do and do what you write. And when you go through that and read it, now this document is a living document and we change it year by year, we tweak it. So the post-COVID period, for example, inspired a complete rework through our club success plan. The next one is the Moments of Truth. And on the left-hand side, you can see front of the manual for the traditional moments of truth. In the middle is the front screen of the Google form that we'll be using, and on the right-hand side is one of many reports that are generated out of that moments of truth. Now, Emma went through and described what those moments are. And so, for example, there you can see first impressions, and you can see the response. This is a dummy version that I asked people to try and make it a club that has issues. So if there's a response there for, we never meet this standard, don't worry that it's a club that never meets the standard. This is 14 district leaders that went through and tried to put a good sampling of what their responses might be. And of course, the final one is the Distinguished Club Program. And if you're a great club, you'll have met 10 goals. And there are, I'm happy to say, a lot of clubs like this. This one is for Roval, which is a consistently high-performing club, but I can see Nola Sharp smiling there from Lilydale, because Lilydale has a row of presidents, distinguished ribbons, enough to drape across the front and side of the building that they meet in.
And Roval just happens to be the club of the year, so you chose well.
I did, and I knew it and went looking for it. And you look through it for more new members, and they had 11 new members, which is pretty good. And they don't have a high level of churn. They keep their members.
Put yourself on mute now, Nola. You've had your celebration.
I never put myself
when I was at Frankston, we used to have charts like this years ago, and they've even got better now. I left.
Okay, so they're the 3 states of a club, and the outcome of a good club is happy members, of course. And I would like to think that all of us here belong to clubs where there are miles and miles of smiles, but we know in clubs some people aren't as happy. They feel a bit bewildered, maybe aren't happy with their progress. So the idea of a club success plan is, how do you incorporate strategies and actions that pull all the members into contributing to that Distinguished Club Program? So we're going to have a rollout of this process, and it's in 3 steps. So the first one is that the area director will contact their club or the clubs in their area to arrange a date. They'll also, at that moment or at that time, send out a Moments of Truth link to, I assume, the VPE for distribution to all members. And at that same time, area directors are probably doing this already, but just to remind them that at that time they would seek a copy of the club success plan. Now, with some clubs, their club success plan is maybe a little less populated than it should be. So the area director saying, can I have a copy of the club success plan, might jog the memory of the club executive to add a little more to it. The next step is for the area director to review the Moments of Truth results that are being generated by that Google form. And they can look through it and look for any matters of interest. Now, when I prepared this, I said matters of concern, but that's not quite fair, because with some clubs, you look through it and say they're a very high-performing club. What is it that they're doing that's so well received? And Emma spoke about that hummingbird. I think it was a hummingbird of going from club to club and being able to talk about a club that I visited a week ago do this and this. So I think it's more appropriate to say looking for matters of interest, which might be addressed by changes to the club's success plan. So it started brightly, but it still assumes that there'll be matters of concern. And at the actual club visit, the area director can discuss those results with the club as part of the area director's normal visit. And the club will, hopefully take those on board and incorporate those observations into his or her area visit report. And the outcome, of course, is every club will get President's Distinguished or Select Distinguished or even Distinguished. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Do we really need a 12-page report for that, David? Because these reports used to be a page, and they went to 3. Now they're 12 pages.
I'm glad you asked that question, David. I didn't put you up to it, but I'm extremely glad that you brought that up.
I do have an addendum to my question.
I knew you would.
So Dave, it's not Dorothy Dick's question then.
Is that you, Adam?
Yes, it is, David.
I thought so. See, I recognised your voice.
Because I sound like
I think actually, Adam, I'll ask my question of Kevin and David off camera, okay, later.
All right, okay.
It's a serious question, Adam. You're not part of it, and neither is anyone else. I'll just speak to those two privately, okay? Thanks.
All right, okay. I'm just going to go through to what the form looks like. Do I have a taskbar sitting over that? Look, I'll go through it. So it's not 12 pages anymore, David. It's 11, so it's well down. But it looks like this. It looks like this. It is completely 100% the same words as the paper version, but you can go through, or individual members can go through, put in their details, put in their club name, and then go through, put in their name if they wish, but they don't need to.
Very often these reports are written by the president and
Sure,
they're given up to the members. And often the members have no say in what this
Right.
is.
Okay, so this one is to make it more inclusive, choosing how long they've been in the club, and then going through the questions that, or the concepts that Emma was talking about. And hopefully we'll have people being able to choose. We always meet the standard. So that will show up, and it goes through the 6.
David, you're still on the President's Distinguished Club. Is that what you're meant to be showing?
No, thank you.
Showing slide 10.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Nola, I saw that. I'll get back to you in a minute.
That's fine.
I'm sorry. Share screen. You share.
Just stop sharing first.
Oh, stop sharing.
No, you got it. We've got it. It's
Got
all-
it. Great.
Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. It's nothing worse than seeing bewildered looks on people's faces and thinking, what's wrong with them? So it starts off with this. I won't speak completely for each slide. My club, my name, number of years that I've been in the club, and then it goes through and speaks about what Emma was talking about, so you can mark the form accordingly based on your feelings. And it just goes through the different elements. It's not worth talking about each one because Emma did a great job on that. And membership strength and achievement recognition. So all these are 100% based on the paper manual, and you can add comments if you wish and submit. So each member will have the opportunity to do that. It'll go through to a consolidated report that the club executive can access and the area director can access. So that's the process, that's the rationale. It's incredibly simple, and Graeme Dunlop is going to explain how simple that's going to be. Nola, did you have a question?
Yes, I can see this as a wonderful tool when your leaders are letting you down, because it's very hard for an ordinary member, and I say that with tongue-in-cheek, if you have a president that comes into the role that was done so very well by the previous president and think all they have to do is just blah, blah, and everything will happen, I can see that this is going to be a tool in which individuals can say, no, we are dropping the ball, we have gone down, and the communication is not the quality that we have been used to. And I don't see a confrontation with a president as something that you need to be personally involved in, but the message has to get through, and I can see this as a gentle way of doing that. Would you agree, or do you think it's could be controversial?
No, I don't think it's controversial. I think it's almost like a secret ballot. One of the problems that I've had with well, no, I'm going to use that word actually, or those words, with moments of truth in the traditional setting where you have breakout groups to look at the various elements. I often feel that there's a group think that averages out and doesn't give a real reading for many of the members in those groups. And I feel that we often get a very vanilla response from each of the breakout groups. So I'm hoping that this system will give a truer result, for better or worse.
Now, folks, I might just step in here because we're a little bit over time.
Yep.
So thanks, David. I forgot your name there for a second.
No, that's all right, Graeme.
The next speaker is me, and I'm going to show you how to use form. Now, when I say you, what I mean really is the area directors, because the onus, and correct me if I'm wrong here, David Martin, the onus for this is going to be on the area directors to receive a copy of this form and send it out to each of your clubs. And I'm going to show you how to do that, because this will involve creating a copy of the form for, I guess, yourself, that you can then send out to the clubs. Now, hopefully it should be fairly simple. And of course, because I'm showing it to you now, we're going to have a video record of this, because of course, this education session will be up on the D73 YouTube channel before you know it. So welcome to our YouTube viewers. Hi, glad you could make it. Now, as an area director, what you are going to see, and I will share my screen for you. What you are going to see is an email that will come into your area director account. So let me get the
Can I just say, we haven't sorted my area director thing out yet because you were going to show me how to do that.
okay.
I don't use Google Works and those sort of things, so someone was going to show me what to do. I'm very cluey around it, but I don't know how to do that.
Okay. So first of all, you would sign on to your area director email. So I have a fictional area director here for
I know it
area
personally.
X91. Next, then the password, which of course I will take from my very secure password manager because everyone has one of those. Maybe not. And you will see that you've been sent an email with something like this. This isn't probably the exact email that you'll get, but it will be something like this. And it will probably come from me or from the technology manager, which is me anyway. But so on behalf of the Program Quality Director, we send you instructions on how to use the Moments of Truth form. So what you have to do, first of all, is make a copy of the form, and then you save that copy in your area director email address, because that has Google Drive and all of those things for you. You will see a link like this, so you should just be able to click the link, and oh, I see, yes. The screen gods are not being kind to me. There we go. You will see a screen like this. Don't worry, I'll cut that out. And you'll be offered the opportunity to make a copy of the document, the form that David was just showing to you before. So if we click on Make a Copy, then eventually we should see, look at this, the Moments of Truth Quality Club Standards Evaluation. So if I close that, just to prove that we've made a copy, what I will do is go into the Google Drive for this account. And you will see that we have a copy of the quality standards evaluation for Moments of Truth. Now, the next thing that you will have to do, as specified in this email, is put together an email for your clubs and send it out to the VPEs for each club for them to distribute. But you'll have to get from the form a special link that will let them use the form. So if we go back here, we open the form. And if you see up on the top right here, there's a big old button that says Send. You click on that one there. It has here Send Via, and what we want to do is get a link that we can put into an email. So if we click on this link icon, then all you have to do is click Copy, and that copies the link. And then if we go back to our email, then you're able to put together an email for your clubs. So
Graeme, can you send that as an attachment, can you?
This will be Moments of Truth survey, if you like. Dear VPE, please ask your members to fill out this form, and then if we paste, we can put the link in there, and then
Hi, Graeme.
things.
Graeme, can
Yes,
I share
hello.
something?
Yes.
can you go back to that share link again? I'm gonna show you something.
What?
So if
what
you
do
can go
want to
back to Google Form
Yes. Yes.
and then go that to the send,
Yes.
then that link
Also
that
send
you
it via email.
Yep.
Yes,
no,
that's
not
correct.
that one. Send the link, the one that you went to before. I'll just
Yep.
show you something. Now instead of see that link, it's a very long link. A tip for you is click the shorten URL, and then you will get a better URL. And I would recommend to send that instant so it doesn't look like a spam. That's what I
That's
would normally send to
Is that like
to our
is
members.
that like a tiny URL?
Yes, a tiny URL that you can send to your members.
That's an excellent tip. Thanks, Christina.
Yeah. No
And
worries.
now that I think about it, you can actually send a thing here. But I've asked to I've talked to you about getting the link because I kind of like to craft the email myself and put in my own words. Okay, that's pretty much it. Like I say, this is up to the area directors to get the link and send it out to each of their clubs via the VPE. I'm sure you'll have questions. I don't think we've actually budgeted for time for questions, but do feel free to hit me up if you have questions when you receive this email.
I mean, I would have thought, Graeme, that the VPM would have more details about the members. I mean, the VP certainly is, you know, the program person, but the VPM's like the social worker for all the members, aren't they, in a lot of ways, because
That's
they
true.
are the people that look after them in the clubs.
That's true.
My experience is the VPE should be the person who has access to the entire club
Sure,
email list. Yeah,
I'll go along with that. In the scheme of things, the VPM is about membership and the VP is about programs. So, yeah.
certainly. I don't know how you do it in Easy Speak, but I know you can do it in Free Toast.
Yeah, I don't use it.
There's an email address for all members at the club.
Well, that's a good point because there's only 5 clubs in our division that use Easy Speak and the rest use Free Toast, so it's easy. Thanks.
Sue, you have a question?
Yes, I would actually like that to come back to the president of the club to put that together because I think it's important for the president to know what's going on, and the VPE is already very much consumed with everything. So if a link can be created and be sent back to the president can then bring that to the club executive and then bring it to the club in a discussion. That's where I'd like to see it come from because the VPE is already overloaded.
I agree completely, Sue. And in many clubs, the president was the VPE, so they understand how it all ties together. I think that's the perfect recommendation.
And Christina, question?
Yes, I just have just another tip for you guys. If you're going to do this Google form, because in our club we started doing this Google form, starting from new membership, renewal, everything. It's all Google form. Even our contests are all Google form. We stop printing stuff. If you guys are gonna do this in your club in any form, make sure that you do it in your clubs. If you don't have one, create a club Google account, not in your personal account. Because you want to think that you won't be part of the committee forever, and you don't want that. You want to give the new member a chance to be a member, and you want to pass that Google account to the next member. So make sure you save this Google form, or whatever you do in your Google account to get all the digitized, all this form. Make sure it's in a generic or in a club Google account, not in your personal Google account. So you can transfer it to the next club executive.
All right, excellent tip. Thank you very much, Christina. Okay, so area directors, please look out for that email, which will be soon, I would guess, probably the next week or so. I won't promise that, but it shouldn't take too long. Now, next, we have the, again, very distinguished Mr. Kevin Broughton, our district director, who's going to take us through the club success plan. Kevin, over to you.
Thank you very much, Graeme. Much appreciated. So I'm gonna do the Emma thing. I'm gonna start with a story. Who's heard the tale of the enigmatic rowing challenge? Anybody? I'm gonna find it hard seeing as I've been maximized on the screen. So if you can take advantage of the chat window, please, I'd appreciate that. Right, in a picturesque town nestled by a winding river, there existed a mysterious annual event known as the Rowing Challenge. Teams from all over the region would compete for a legendary prize hidden deep within the river's mystical waters. One year, a diverse group of individuals came together to form a team. Each member possessed a unique set of talents. One had an uncanny sense of balance. Another had remarkable strength. And yet another had an extraordinary knowledge of river currents. At first, each member of the team was determined to showcase their individual abilities. They approached the challenge with an air of competition, vying to outshine their teammates. However, the boat's progress was erratic, and they frequently veered off, missing the signs that would lead them to the hidden treasure. As they ventured deeper into the river's enigmatic twists and turns, they began to realize that their approach was flawed. They decided to change tactics and collaborate, devising a synchronized plan that played to each member's unique strength. They practiced tirelessly, focusing on coordination and teamwork. As the day of the rowing challenge arrived, a sense of mystery and anticipation filled the air. The team embarked on their journey, rowing together with perfect harmony. Their movements were so synchronized that they seemed to dance with the river's currents. They followed cryptic clues hidden along the way, deciphering the secrets of the river. The outcome of the competition was shrouded in suspense until the very end. As they crossed the finish line, they uncovered not just the treasure they sought, but also the hidden wisdom of collaboration and unity. Their victory was celebrated not just for the riches they found, but for the transformation they underwent as a team. Make sense? Okay, back on track. How many club executives do we have here tonight? How many people are club execs?
I'm a secretary, Adam Fossil, Belfast Toastmasters.
So when you go into Club Central, you can see all of the options are available to you as a club exec. Yeah?
Yes.
So is that the majority of people? I can't see the whole screen while I'm focused. Enough people have positively responded. So I'm going to assume you can. So when was the last time you looked at the Distinguished dashboard?
With a couple of months ago.
A couple of months ago? Emma's got the right answer today. Absolutely.
Yeah, 30 minutes ago.
All right. Is there anyone here that doesn't know what that dashboard is? I'll put a link in. People can go and look instead of looking at my face. So that's the dashboard. So let's go back to some of the basics. So club success hinges on several key factors, and they're all closely tied to the Distinguished Club Plan. And while we often emphasize that Toastmasters is a member-centric organization, and that's entirely true, it's essential to recognize that a member's success is influenced by both internal and external factors. A club's health and the opportunities it provides directly impact a member's growth and achievements. True success only emerges when all facets of the organization work in harmony. The club success plan is instrumental in not only achieving, but also tracking these successes, drawing from nearly a century of experience. However, what truly makes it effective is the collaborative effort between the club's executive team and its members, It's in this collaboration that goals are set, understood, and collectively pursued. When the executive and members align their efforts to what's outlined in the club success plan, the club can flourish, providing a safe space for growth and ensuring that every member has the chance to succeed. So what are the main factors in all of this? So we've got member education. So helping members improve their communication and leadership skills, which involves offering a structured program where members complete speeches, projects, and leadership roles that are outlined in the Toastmasters educational curriculum. And we all know what the Toastmasters educational curriculum is called.
Pathways. Pathways.
Absolutely. And there is no other. It is pathways. Membership growth is the other factor. One of the primary indicators of a club's success is membership growth. Now, a thriving club should aim to attract new members regularly. This is not only to ensure that the club remains vibrant, but also to provide a diverse pool of speakers and leaders. We understand very clearly that in life circumstances change, and members may need to leave due to various reasons, such as work relocations or family commitments. While we cannot always control these external factors, we have the opportunity to create a positive and lasting impression during their time with us. Now, one aspect we can influence is the experience we offer at our meetings. By consistently making our meetings enjoyable, engaging, and aligned with the reasons our members joined in the first place, we not only retain current members, but also attract new ones who share our values and objectives. And this approach ensures that every member, regardless of their tenure, leaves with fond memories and a sense of fulfillment from their Toastmasters journey. Then we have all the administration goals. Yep, that's paying dues and submitting the officer lists on time. Now, don't forget that anyone that didn't take advantage of the early bird offer from Toastmasters World Headquarters, you need to pay in the next month your 6 monthly dues before October the 1st. So go out to your clubs and remind them. The other aspect, training. Training in multiple factors, quality with a K or a Q, depending on how you like to spell it. Successful clubs conduct well-organized and engaging and enjoyable meetings. That I've already said. But members should feel that meetings provide a valuable learning experience and a supportive environment for their growth. Now, that involves educational sessions, ensuring that opportunities like this event, this evening, are taken on board. And with regards to the executive, then making sure that they turn up to the 2 club officer training sessions a year. I managed to fit in 7 different sessions in this last round. And that's not just because I'm a Toastrovert. It's because I had obligations for 2 of my clubs. And because at some, I offered my experience as a trainer. And at others, I wanted to hear other people's stories and their solutions to the problems which often faces in our various different leadership responsibilities. Got to encourage our members to take on leadership roles within the club. It's crucial to be able to create that succession. The club's executive team are responsible for running club operations, and it plays a significant part in fostering that leadership development. Now, with regards to the specifics around the club success plan, everyone who's ever filled in a club success plan will not be surprised by the changes that are very apparent right now when you log into Club Central and go to your club success plan area. We still have goal setting. So this allows the club executive team to set specific goals in areas like membership growth, education achievements, and leadership development. And it provides a clear roadmap for the club's success. In terms of accountability, somebody sharing a screen on my behalf?
Somebody's doing something.
Nope. I'll bring it up in a second, the actual club success plan, if that's what someone's going to do. So I'll show you, David. If you're not a club officer, I'll just show you what the changes are. It is fundamentally all of the same questions. They've just reframed it in a way that you can now share it whilst you're filling it in with everyone who wants to participate. So we've got a session in a couple of weeks where we're all going to sit around the club success plan and go through what we took from last year, what we built on, and what we're going to now carry forward. But it involves all of the planning and the resource allocation. So there's a whole actions section where you can turn around and designate who's going to take on what responsibility within what area, by when, and to be able to finish all of that. And then it's got the evaluation component. So I'll quickly show, if Christine won't throw me off straight away, if I can have another minute or two.
You'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah, is that all right? So it very specifically talks around all of the same elements, as I said, from the previous one. So if you've got your old PDF from your club success plan, you can take that. But what you've now got is a very graphical interface. So it shows you your progress against the DCP, your progress against the CSP, DCP being Distinguished Club Program, CSP, Club Success Plan, and what's outstanding, what's due, and what's overdue, because you've put dates and people and resources inside the plan now. So it can give you that graphical feedback. There is a tutorial that it talks about, but unfortunately that isn't working. So when Graeme sends out the information, he'll include a non-Toastmasters but via Toastmaster link for you to be able to see all that what is. And I think what I'll do is just very, very briefly, if I can, share the screen just so you can see a little high level. So what you're going to be able to see now when you go into your Club Central, as you scroll down, you're going to have Club Success Plan. And when you go into the Club Success Plan, Vesuvius erupts. And you see that you get to pick your program year. So you're going to be able to see this historically. And now you get badges for what it is that you accomplish. So I'm halfway there for this particular club. They've completed a half of all of those action plans. Shows you a new graphic around the Distinguished Club Program and gives you a summary with your key points. What's overdue? What is it that you've been able to complete so far? What have you got outstanding in terms of your tasks? So you can go into the plan and see all of those various sections that you used to have before and be able to pull up on what they are and edit them. So in administration, you go in and you'll see those same sections and you can now edit them with the information that you want to provide. It's very slow here. So you see the same section. So who's going to be responsible for these things, creates the actual actions, and then you can enter in any strategies or components that you want to be able to do with it. And then the last part is creating a set of actions. And as I said, you can do this screen, share it with your members and everybody else who wants to contribute, and then you get to be able to all contribute, add, take responsibility for what it is that you're doing. So a much more graphical, interactive interface and the ability to be able to share what it is that you're going to do with your club and how you're going to do it. And I'm going to close off just with a couple of silly quotes, just to maybe lift the mood a bit. One of my favorites, failing to plan is planning to fail, by Alan Lakin, who did a lot of time management books. But my all-time favorite is, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that's attributed to Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, who is a French writer who wrote Little Prince, one of my favorites. And of course, the most famous 7 Ps. Piss poor planning promotes piss poor performance. So if you're interested in further reading, there'll be some elements within the chat window. Thank you very much. No Q&A, we'll save it for the board. And thank you very much, and my apologies, Christina.
Now, the next item is that we've got some breakout rooms, which will be facilitated by Kevin, by Sue, and by David Martin, where we're going to pitch. You'll be going into a breakout room. You'll be randomly selected to go into a breakout room, and you'll be pitched a scenario by Kevin or Sue or David, or something to fill in a section of the club success plan. You'll have 15 minutes in there. And then if we could come back and spend 3 minutes for each group, giving us a summary of what you talked about. Okay, folks, I'm going to open the breakout rooms now. Any questions before I do that?
Can you put me in the less troublesome one? Thanks.
I don't know which one that is.
You'll be in mine.
It'll be trouble if you go in there, David, though.
All right, folks, opening the rooms now.
That's a provision, yeah. Apologies, 1 second, 1 second. All right, ready?
Yay,
Thank you.
fantastic. So from David's group, who was the spokesperson?
So Leah is the spokesperson, and I'll read the scenario, and then Christina can start timing from when I finish the scenario. So ours was, even though the first meeting I went to was an amazing experience, I had a lot of trouble finding the building and room. Even when I found it, I still wasn't sure it was Toastmasters because nobody identified themselves. I also wasn't sure if I was meant to sit in a certain spot and if I had to do something.
Thanks, David, and good evening, everyone. My name's Leah, and I'm from Wangaratta Toastmasters, which is based in Northeast Victoria. We spoke as a group about how people can find the room a little bit better and the building, and discussed that the BPM would email the new attendee prior to the meeting to give them specific instructions about how to find the place and where to park, which was a really good point that Susanna made. We also ensured that we might have some signage around to help direct someone, and that perhaps someone could be positioned outside to help direct the person or bring them into the room, show them how to get there. We also thought that BPM should touch base with guests prior to the meeting just to make sure that they did feel welcome in advance. We wanted to assign club members, experienced club members to the new person so that they could be introduced to all other club members as the meeting goes on and to talk them through the agenda. We also discussed reassuring the person that they wouldn't be expected to speak in the very first instance or in the very first meeting. And part of that was about making sure that members who had already paid got to speak first, and that if someone was actually experiencing a lot of nervousness and anxiety, that they knew that they weren't going to have to say anything if the nerves got the better of them. We also talked about making sure that all members regularly wear their name badges so that the new person can identify them very easily and wouldn't be embarrassed by having to ask all the time what their names were. So they were just a couple of things that we had very rich conversation, but they were just a couple of the points that we spoke about to address the scenario that David just read out to you just before. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Leah. That was very productive. That was great.
Marty, Mo.
The speaker from Sue's group, who is that?
I will put my scenario in the chat, and the speaker from my group is Andrea Braun from Limestone Coast.
Excellent.
Thank you, Andrea.
Right.
Good evening, everyone. I am just going to post in the chat what we discussed as well, so it's there in writing. The scenario was, I like the idea of an agenda, but it'd be better if everyone knew in advance what they're meant to be doing. Almost every meeting, we need to sort out all the supporting roles and sometimes even evaluators. One meeting, we only had one speaker and we had to take turns being timekeeper because everybody was doing two things. I've spoken to members from other clubs and they don't have these issues. I'm thinking of leaving. And our goal was to come up with strategies to save them. One was allocate roles in advance. One of our members said they do it up to a month in advance. So each speaker has, or each person involved with the meeting has a month's notice of what their role will be. They allocated it for them. And they had a backup of 5 to 6 speakers that could jump in routinely if someone wasn't available. Another point was to encourage new members to take on an exec role to get them more involved with the club. Also, to ensure members are not swamped. If they are wanting to do only one role, make sure you try and achieve that for them instead of overloading them. Another option was to have a new member goal form in which the new member would fill out how often they'd like to be on agenda. Every meeting, every second meeting, third meeting, etc. At our club, we have, at the end of the night, I ask for roles to be filled, and quite often we'll finish up filling 50% plus of roles for the next meeting. The agenda will come out, further people will sign up that haven't been at the meeting, and we very rarely have that many roles sometimes to fill when we get to the meeting itself. Another option was to invite guest speakers to take up some roles and to diversify their night. And if the VPE isn't performing well, either swap roles with another executive member or remove the VPE and vote someone in new. Thank you.
That's excellent. It's good to remember that just because someone's been voted in as a club officer, they don't have to stay there.
Mm.
And we also, at the end of our discussion, I shared the resource that went with that question that's in the chat box as well.
And that resource will be in our shared resources folder as well. So good stuff. Okay, it only remains for Kevin's group. Who is the spokesperson for Kevin's group?
I can speak for that. Adam Thrussell can speak from Elsternwick Toastmasters.
Is that right? Okay. 3 minutes, off you go.
So what was our topic again?
Good on you, Anna.
It was to do with membership orientation.
That's right. I remember orientation. Yeah, because you expect people coming to your clubs, members coming into your clubs, and you probably have to talk to them what their goals were. Like some people would go to Toastmasters because they're too frightened to speak to people. I know one person who went to a Toastmasters meeting and they were too frightened to speak during the meeting, but I think over a period of time their public speaking improved. So there's probably certain things people won't talk. I know someone went to a Toastmasters club because he wanted to eliminate his stammer and things like that. So you have to talk to people what their goals are. Like my goals was to do the icebreaker, then you do the evaluation, then you go into level 2. So that's the kind of things you ask people what they want to do, what their goals are. Kevin and...
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're
Adam,
welcome.
Kevin, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think the messaging was very specifically around making that connection. So being able to turn around and understand very much what it is that they're after. I'll just dump the question in. So the challenge was around not knowing what to do. So what everybody shared within that breakout room was the need to make contact with the person, to make a personal connection, and from that personal connection be able to do other things. So being able to help them through their technology, or being able to have that conversation, presenting opportunities for them to be shown the mentoring and everything that needed to be done up front rather than later on, so that
And Nola Sharp said one of her members was visually limited, so she'd speak to the person after the meeting and things like that and help them along that way. Yeah, Nola Sharp mentioned that one of the persons was visually limited, so she sometimes would speak to one or one or more of the members after the meeting. And some people said they'd do that to help them along the way.
I think most Toastmasters would do that, Adam, but thank you very much.
You're welcome. I just mentioned that in passing, Nola.
Thank you very much.
To quote that Canadian singer, Gordon Lightfoot.
All right, folks. Well, that's pretty much the end of our session this evening. Now, I have posted in the chat there, I'll do it again, 2 links. You can find resources from tonight's sessions in the first link, and there's also a feedback form for you to fill out to let us know how we went and to give us some feedback on how we can do better next time. But otherwise, thank you very much for attending this evening. We really appreciate your time. Folks, have a good evening and have a good weekend. See you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Great to see you all. Always a pleasure being in Toastmasters meeting.